Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is R.S. Raghu, and with me is Vaibhav Josna Srivatsa, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets Chinese counterpart Wang Yi on the sidelines of SCO meet in Dushanbe, asserts unilateral change of status quo at LAC is not acceptable. India calls for earnest peace negotiations in order to resolve the Afghan crisis. Nepal's newly sworn-in Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba forms a 5-member cabinet. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken speaks with ASEAN foreign ministers, reiterates China's maritime claims in the South China Sea are unlawful. United Arab Emirates becomes first Gulf state to open an embassy in Israel. India's cumulative COVID vaccination coverage crosses 39 crore mark. Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launches official Team India cheer song for Tokyo Olympics contingent. And in women's cricket, India to take on England in the third and final T20 match of series at Chelmsford tonight. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is underway, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also to help others to get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact National Helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar met China's State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi on the sidelines of Dushanbe SCO Foreign Ministers meeting. India's External Affairs Ministry in a statement said that the 2 ministers had a detailed exchange of views on the current situation along the line of actual control LAC in eastern Ladakh and also on other issues related to the overall India-China relations. The minister pointed out to the State Councillor that the successful disengagement in the Pangong Lake area earlier this year had created conditions for resolving the remaining issues. It was expected that the Chinese side would work with us towards this objective. The External Affairs Minister noted, however, that the situation in the remaining areas is still unresolved. They also agreed that the 2 sides should discuss all the remaining issues and seek a mutually acceptable solution in the meeting. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar highlighted that unilateral change of status quo is not acceptable. He added that full restoration and maintenance of peace and tranquility in border areas is essential for development of the ties. He also said that the 2 countries agreed on convening an early meeting of the senior military commanders. On Afghanistan, Dr. S. Jaishankar has called for earnest peace negotiations in order to resolve the Afghan crisis. Presenting the Indian view at the SCO Contact Group meeting on Afghanistan at Dushanbe on Wednesday, he said that an acceptable compromise that reflects Doha process, Moscow format and Istanbul process is essential. Dr. Jaishankar said that the world, region and the Afghan people all want the same end state, that of an independent, neutral, unified, peaceful, democratic and prosperous nation. He added that all want ceasing of violence and terrorist attacks against civilians and state representatives. Dr. Jaishankar said the world, region and the Afghan people want to settle conflict through political dialogue and respect the interests of all ethnic groups. He added that all want to ensure that neighbors are not threatened by terrorism, separatism and extremism. He said that the challenge is to act seriously and sincerely on these beliefs. Mentioning that there are forces at work with a very different agenda, the minister added that the world is against seizure of power by violence and force.
Nepal's newly sworn-in Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba has formed a 5-member cabinet. Deuba took the oath of office in secrecy on Tuesday morning. The ceremony was delayed about 2 hours over the language and format of the appointment letter. President Bidya Devi Bhandari had appointed the Nepali Congress president to the position earlier in the day. The country's apex court on Monday ordered his appointment as the Prime Minister while reinstating the House of Representatives dissolved by his predecessor KP Sharma Oli. The new Prime Minister Deuba has inducted Bal Krishna Khand as Minister for Home Affairs, Gyanendra Bahadur Karki as Minister for Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, Pampaha Bhusal as Minister for Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation, and Janardhan Sharma as Minister for Finance. Deuba is expected to give a full shape to the cabinet, also inducting some leaders from the Janata Samajwadi Party, Nepal, in the next few days. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke with foreign ministers of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, and the ASEAN Secretary General during the special ASEAN-U.S. Foreign Ministerial meeting. In a statement, the Secretary reaffirmed the United States' commitment to ASEAN's centrality and underscored ASEAN's essential role in the Indo-Pacific's regional architecture. The Secretary and the ASEAN foreign ministers pledged to continue building the ASEAN-US strategic partnership based on human rights and fundamental freedoms, economic prosperity and strong people-to-people ties. Mr. Blinken also underscored the United States' rejection of China's unlawful maritime claims in the South China Sea and reiterated that the United States stands with Southeast Asian claimants in the face of China's coercion. He pledged continued U.S. support for a free and open Mekong region under the Mekong-U.S. partnership. Expressing deep concerns about the military coup in Myanmar, Secretary Blinken recalled the principles of the ASEAN Charter related to the rule of law, good governance, democracy and human rights. He called on ASEAN to take joint action to urge the end of violence, the restoration of Myanmar's democratic transition, and the release of all those unjustly detained. The Secretary said that ASEAN's 5-point consensus is an important step forward and urged ASEAN to take immediate action to hold the Burmese regime accountable through consensus and to appoint a special envoy.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin III said that U.S. is going to compete to win in the mastery and application of artificial intelligence, but do so ethically. Speaking at the AI Technology Summit on Tuesday, remarked that China's leaders have made clear they intend to be globally dominant in AI by the year 2030. He said that Beijing already talks about using AI for a range of missions, from surveillance to cyber attacks to autonomous weapons. Mr. Austin said that the US is going to compete to win, but will do it the right way and not cut corners on safety, security or ethics. In another development, the U.S. issued an updated Xinjiang Supply Chain Business Advisory in response to the Government of the People's Republic of China's PRC's ongoing genocide and crimes against humanity in Xinjiang and the growing evidence of its use of forced labor there. In a statement, the U.S. State Department said that the updated advisory highlights the heightened risks for businesses with supply chain and investment links to Xinjiang, given the entity's complicit in forced labor and other human rights abuses there and throughout China.
The United Arab Emirates has become the first Gulf state to open an embassy in Israel. UAE's envoy hailed the trade and investment opportunities that closer ties would bring at a flag-raising ceremony, which was also attended by Israel's president. The opening of the UAE embassy, which is situated in the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, followed the inauguration of Israel's embassy in the UAE last month. UAE Ambassador Mohammad Al Khaja said that since the normalization of ties, we have seen for the first time discussions on trade and investment opportunities. He added that major agreements across various fields, including economy, air travel, technology and culture, have been signed. Israeli President Isaac Herzog called the opening of the embassy an important milestone in the journey towards the future, peace, prosperity and security for the Middle East. Iran, the UAE and Bahrain normalized relations with Israel last year under the Abraham Accords brokered by the US under the Trump administration. Sudan and Morocco have since also moved to establish ties with Israel. This is All India Radio, giving you the world news.
The centre is disseminating awareness of national helpline numbers for the benefit of citizens during the COVID-19 pandemic. The helpline number of the Health and Family Welfare Ministry is 1075. The child helpline number is 1098. For senior citizens of Delhi, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand, the helpline number is 14567. The helpline number of National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, NIMHANS, for psychological support is 08046110007. Ayush COVID-19 counselling helpline number is 14443 and MyGov WhatsApp help desk number is 9013151515.
Welcome back to World News. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on the External Affairs Minister's visit to Dushanbe for the SCO Foreign Councillors meet. In conversation are Mr. Ashok Sajjanhar, former diplomat, and Ms. Simran Sodhi, journalist.
Today we are discussing the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meet, in which India today also called on the members of the SCO to act against terrorism and terror funding. This took place in the capital of Tajikistan, and we also saw that the SCO meet was dominated by the deteriorating security situation in Afghanistan, and it was one of the main issues which was discussed. Ambassador Sajjanhar, when we see this SCO meet happening and we have the foreign ministers there, and the main issues on the table seem to be one, terrorism, terror financing, and then later we come to Afghanistan. How do you assess the success of SCO when it comes to dealing with issues like terrorism, terror financing? Because this is something that India has been consistently raising at various global forums.
No, absolutely. And I think SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, has a very important role to play in this because it has its own what is called RATS, the Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure, which has been established and which is located in Tashkent, the capital of Uzbekistan. And there is a lot of information that goes in, and this churns all the information, looks at all the information, and then shares the information with the member countries to see how they can deal with the issue of terror themselves. This is, of course, emerged as a very significant element in the activities of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. But as you said very rightly, that the current meeting of the SCO foreign ministers that started yesterday and today, there basically it is the rapidly deteriorating situation, security situation in Afghanistan, and the expansion of sway and control by the Taliban over the last few months. I think that has taken the regional countries and the world by surprise. And that is one of the important issues that was discussed this morning at the meeting. And as External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, who's participating in that meeting, he said Afghanistan, he said public health, and also the post-COVID economic recovery. These are the three issues that are of utmost significance and relevance today. Simran.
Ambassador Sajjanhar, we also see that the situation in Afghanistan is involving a lot of actors. India is there, Pakistan is there, and we see that Pakistan is also a member of the SCO summit. And we have the participation of Pakistan there, we have India there, and we had the Afghan foreign minister also there, and Dr. S. Jaishankar also met the Afghan foreign minister, and they both discussed the situation. How do you think for India, how is this going to be a delicate balancing act? Because we have have our relationships with Afghanistan and we have a relationship with Pakistan which is very tense, yet Pakistan is involved in every step when it comes to discussing Afghanistan. So for India, this becomes a very difficult and delicate balancing act. How do you assess India going forward on this?
Yeah, I think it becomes a difficult balancing act because India has never really looked upon the Taliban as a serious stakeholder or actor or player in Afghanistan, because we look upon the Taliban as a terrorist organization, and that has been receiving support, it has been receiving safe havens and funding and training in Pakistan, and that is why it has been able to survive for so long. In fact, this is also the position that is taken by the Afghan government, whether it is the current Afghan president Ashraf Ghani or the former Afghan president Hamid Karzai, or even the Afghan foreign minister, the chief executive Abdullah. Everyone says that if the support of Pakistan to the Taliban were to stop, then Taliban would not be able to last for more than a few days. So it is basically the support of Pakistan that has brought the Taliban to this level. And what India is doing now, India is working for peace, working for security and stability in Afghanistan, and that it is trying to do by reaching out to all the stakeholders. You would recall that very recently, just before the SCO meet in Dushanbe, the foreign minister was in Moscow, where he had a long, detailed conversation with him, as also with the other players in Moscow on the security situation. And there, the External Affairs Minister spoke about the legitimization, because Taliban is, of course, expanding its sway. But how will it be able to legitimize its control, even if it comes up as a significant stakeholder in Kabul? Then External Affairs Minister was also, before that, he was in Tehran also. This was his third visit in 1.5 years. He was the first foreign leader to meet the newly elected President Raisi of Iran. So India is trying to reach out to. He was also in Qatar, where the political office of the Taliban is located in Doha. He was there twice in 1 week. So India is reaching out to all the actors and players in the region, in the neighborhood, and of course with the United States also, and also internally within Afghanistan, whether it is the Afghan government. We have also, I think, now started undertaking back-channel conversations with certain elements of the Taliban also, and also other important players within Afghanistan. They have been visiting India very frequently, and India is trying to try to bring all of them on the same page so that discussions and negotiations can lead to a peaceful outcome in Afghanistan.
Mr. Sajjanar, as you pointed out that India looks for a peaceful resolution of this problem. And we also saw that External Affairs Minister today at the SCO Afghan Contact Group meet, he clearly said that seizure of power by violence can't be legitimized. And there's also what India has said is that Afghanistan cannot be its past. So the question that a lot of people are raising is that as we go ahead and we look at the situation in Afghanistan, we also see that the Taliban seem to be gaining control of more and more territory as the days go by. So, and India has always been very clear what its stand to the Taliban is and the Afghan government is. Going forward, how do you see India dealing with an Afghanistan which is going to be very different from what we have seen in the last 20 years when we had US troops stationed there?
Yeah, it is going to be a different situation, definitely. But what sort of a complexion, what sort of an architecture the government in Kabul will have, it is still not very clear. You are right that Taliban is expanding its sway, it's expanding its control as far as territory in Afghanistan is concerned. But they have no experience of governance. They have no experience of administration, of how to lead the country, because for the last 20 years, they have had no exposure to that. The only thing that they have done is carry out attacks, militant attacks, terrorist attacks. So I think that problem is definitely going to be there. And what Taliban is doing today also, it is being able to get control over more territory. But it is not really staying there to establish its own authority there. Because so far it has no way of providing services or providing what the people of the country need. So I think it's going to be a very difficult process, as the outgoing American General Chief of the Defense Forces there, he said that Afghanistan could be going towards a civil war, and that would be very harmful for the people of Afghanistan. Now, of course, the Taliban have been trying to go out to the different countries. They have gone from the political office in Doha, in Qatar. They have gone to Tashkent, they have gone to Iran, to Tehran, they have gone to Moscow, they have gone to Beijing, basically trying to tell them that Taliban of today is not the Taliban that used to exist in 1996 to 2001, that they are not going to impose the Islamic Sharia, that it's not going to be an Islamic emirate, and that they would be respectful of the rights of women. They would promote the education of girls and protect the rights of minorities. But there is very little credibility, and there's a huge trust deficit between what the Taliban says and what actually happens on the ground. So I think these are very difficult problems that not only the Afghan people will have to contend with, but also the regional countries. Because now we see that even the neighbors like Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and even Iran, because Taliban has captured the Herat province, many districts there, in which the Hazaras live, who are Shia denomination. And if there is instability and continuing violence, then more refugees could go to Iran. At the moment, there are about 3 million refugees, Afghan refugees in Iran. And if the current state continues, there could be many more refugees. So I think there is this instability is going to be bad for Afghanistan and the countries around it. And that is why the External Affairs Minister today suggested that the only way out is through negotiations, through dialogue, so that there is a negotiated settlement which will provide legitimacy to whichever government that comes to power in Kabul. Simran.
And we will continue to follow the developments in Afghanistan and also the SCO meet and how the SCO deals within Afghanistan, which is rapidly changing. With these discussions, we bring today's discussion to an end. Thank you.
Thank you.
In a landmark achievement, India's cumulative COVID vaccination coverage has surpassed 39 crore mark. As per the 7 p.m. provisional report on Wednesday, the cumulative figure stands at 39 crore 10 lakh 53,156. The Union Health Ministry in a statement said that the new phase of universalization of COVID-19 vaccination commenced from 21st of June and more than 32.10 lakh vaccine doses have been administered on Wednesday. Moving on to sports. In women's cricket, India will take on England in the third and final T20 match of the series at Chelmsford tonight. The 3-match series is levelled 1-1. The hosts beat India in the first T20 match by 18 runs through Duckworth-Lewis method. In the second T20 match, India beat hosts England by 8 runs, levelling the T20 series 1-1.
India's Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur on Wednesday launched the official Team India cheer song for Tokyo Olympics contingent. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Thakur urged people to come together and cheer for India. He urged people to listen to the song, share it, and also cheer for the entire Indian contingent at the Tokyo Olympics. The minister thanked Rahman and Ananya for composing the song. Mr. Thakur said the song will boost the enthusiasm of our players. With only a few days remaining for the start of the Tokyo Olympics, All India Radio brings a special series on India's medal prospects at the Sporting Extravaganza. Today, we will talk about boxer Ashish Kumar.
Boxer Ashish, who hails from Mandi in Himachal Pradesh, is a strong contender for a medal in the middleweight category at the Tokyo Olympics. Ashish has won a gold medal in national boxing competition, silver in All India Inter-University held in 2015, bronze medal in Asia Test Event International competition held in Indonesia. Ashish's father passed away a month before the Olympic qualifiers. Even in the midst of this difficult situation, Ashish took part in the qualifying match to fulfill his father's dream and defeated the Indonesian boxer in the quarterfinals and got a ticket to Tokyo. He dedicated his victory to his father.
बहुत अच्छा फील कर रहा हूँ मैं और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि मैंने जो कुछ भी किया है मैं अपने फादर को डेडिकेट करना चाहता हूँ क्योंकि एक महीना पहले आज के दिन ही उनकी डेथ हुई थी तो उनका बहुत ख्वाब था कि वो मेरे को ओलंपिक में देखे तो मैंने जो कुछ भी किया उनके ख्वाब को पूरा करने के लिए किया है.
Ashish, who has reached this stage in the midst of a tumultuous career, says that without the support of the family, this journey would have been very difficult.
मैं 13-14 साल से सेक्रीफाइस कर रहा हूँ सिर्फ बॉक्सिंग के लिए ही और मैंने काफी ऐसे सेक्रीफाइस किए हैं कि जिसमें ऐसा लगता है कि शायद मैं बॉक्सिंग छोड़ दूंगा लेकिन नहीं फिर बॉस छोड़ रहा है मेरे फैमिली का मेरे बड़े भाइयों का सबका बॉस छोड़ रहा है. उन्होंने कभी मेरे को पीछे मुड़ के देखने नहीं दिया. जब भी मेरी कोई अगर मैं कहीं पे नहीं कर पाता था अच्छा तो वो मेरे को मोटिवेट करते थे हर जगह हर स्टेप पे मोटिवेट करते थे. तो मैं मानता हूँ कि मेरे फादर और मेरे घर वाले जितने भी हैं भाई बहन उन सबका बहुत सहयोग है.
Ashish is all set for the Tokyo Olympics and is confident that he will bring laurels to the country by performing well.
ये टीम जो है पूरी तरीके से तैयार है और सभी एथलीट जो है पूरी तरह से रेडी है और हमारी जो परफॉर्मेंस है वो पहले से बहुत बेटर है और आगे हमें और बेटर होने की उम्मीद है और हम अच्छा करेंगे.
The biggest feature of Ashish's game is the excellent combination of defense and attack, and this also sets him apart from other boxers. Hope Ashish will be able to make a new record in Tokyo. Diksha Saxena, Sports Desk.
The Voice of America VOA Bangla service will stop its FM and shortwave radio transmissions after 63 years of continuous service on the 17th of July. The VOA Bangla service catered to audiences in Bangladesh and Bangla-speaking states of India, including West Bengal, Tripura and Assam. A press statement issued by VOA stated that the television and social media content of the VOA will expand considerably.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Washington Post writes that Senate Democrats announced plans for $3.5 trillion budget package to expand Medicare advance Biden priorities. Sputnik News writes that Democrat Senator warns Afghan interpreters to be lined up against the wall and machine-gunned by Taliban. Wall Street Journal writes that OPEC reaches agreement with UAE over oil production. Financial Times writes that South Africa struggles to contain the worst unrest in decades. Globe and the Mail writes that UK government accused of stoking flames after English soccer players suffer racist abuse over Euro 2020 loss. And Gulf Time writes that Boeing to reduce 787 production after identifying new jet issue.
A quick look at the headlines once again. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets Chinese counterpart Wang Yi on the sidelines of SCO meet in Dushanbe. Asserts unilateral change of status quo at LAC is not acceptable. India calls for earnest peace negotiations in order to resolve the Afghan crisis. Nepal's newly sworn-in Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba forms a 5-member cabinet. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken speaks with ASEAN foreign ministers, reiterates China's maritime claims in the South China Sea are unlawful. United Arab Emirates becomes first Gulf state to open an embassy in Israel. India's cumulative COVID vaccination coverage crosses 39 crore mark. Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launches official Team India cheer song for Tokyo Olympics contingent. And in women's cricket, India to take on England in the third and final T20 match of series at Chelmsford tonight. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from France as they celebrate Bastille Day. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.